All right, welcome to today's class on DocuSign 101. My name is Leah with Scott Leroy Marketing. In today's class, I'll be taking you through the basics of DocuSign. So today's class is designed for agents who haven't been in DocuSign at all, or maybe you're new to DocuSign and trying to learn the basics of it. I'll be showing you how to start a transaction in Command, how you'll access your forms to edit those forms in DocuSign, and send those off for electronic signatures for your clients to sign. Okay, and lastly, I'll be showing you how to put those signed forms in your opportunity to submit to your office staff for compliance review. And if some of that sounded like a different language, don't worry, I'll be explaining all of that in detail so you'll feel a lot more comfortable by the end of class. So the first thing that we need to do is log into Command. So anytime that you go to start a transaction, it's really important that you go to start that in Command. And I'll explain why. But to log into Command, we're going to go to agent.kw.com. That's where I am on my screen. Again, that's agent.kw.com. I remember that like it's the agent login for kw.com in case that helps. And if you haven't already, that would be a great thing to bookmark. So you can add this to your bookmarks bar. In Chrome, there's a little star on the far right of your URL bar that will allow you to add that to your bookmarks bar right away. And let's go ahead and sign in. It would be good if I spelled my name correctly. Some minor detail. All right. So now that I am logged into Command, and just a side note, if you are still logging into Command, feel free to take your time. First of all, I know there's a million passwords for everything. So if that's giving you an error that the password is incorrect, first of all, you can click Forgot Password right from there. But if that does not work for you, feel free to shoot us an email, support@scottleroymarketing.com. Let us know your password isn't working for Command, and we just need your Command username to help reset that. Okay, so again, click Forgot Password right from that link if you're not able to get into Command, or you can shoot us an email, support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we can help you reset your password. If you're still working on getting into Command, don't panic. All right, we're going to do just a small amount of housekeeping first, and then we'll be able to get going on DocuSign. So first, we need to make sure that DocuSign is in fact linked up with Command to allow you to use the two platforms together. So if you could follow me by clicking on your name on the very top right of Command, and then Settings from that dropdown. So again, where I went is I went to Settings on the, I clicked on my name on the top right of Command. And then you'll see the Settings option right from that dropdown. All right, so when you do that, when you click on the settings, that will take you to all of the connected apps that you have linked to Command. I like to make sense of this section by comparing it to an iPhone or an Android, any smartphone. So, when you get your iPhone, a brand new iPhone or Android, and you open it, out of the box, it has a bunch of really great features on it. However, you can go to your App Store or Google Play Store to download further apps to increase the functionality of your iPhone or Android. Same concept here for Command. So Command out the box has a lot of great features in it. However, you can link up further apps to increase the functionality of Command, DocuSign being one of those apps. So if you start scrolling down, you'll see all the apps that you currently have connected to Command are at the top of this list. And if you keep scrolling, you'll see the apps that are not currently connected, and it will give you the option to connect that right away. So for today's class, let's go ahead and scroll to find DocuSign. In theory, it'll be at the top and show you this nice little connected message. So if it looks like mine, this is set up properly for you to use it with Command. So if it's showing you connected and giving you only the option to disconnect the account, you're good to go. If you do not have DocuSign currently linked up, no worries. I am actually going to send out a video on how to link that up. However, if you have any trouble linking up your DocuSign account to Command, it can be slightly fickle, so we're happy to do it for you. Feel free to shoot us an email if you're having trouble connecting DocuSign to Command, and we will go ahead and help you out with that. All right, and I'm just grabbing the link real quick to the notes so I can share those. So I'm going to put this in the chat, in the Zoom chat, if you want to open that up. All right, so this is the notes and tip guide. I'm going to open this up on my screen and pull this over so you guys can see it. I just put in this in the chat, but I'm going to pull this up on my computer so you can always just save the link, or I just want to show you guys what this is. So this is my DocuSign notes and tip video sheet here. So first of all, at the top, where we'll be starting with, and you don't need to click it yet, but we will be starting with these DocuSign steps. That's what we'll be following during class today. I just also want to point out to you that I do have written out notes on how to do various items in DocuSign here that will be helpful for after class as well. And then going down this list here, I just included all of the tip videos that I thought had good value to them. These tip videos are anywhere, typically like 10 minutes on average, 10 to 15 minutes. So they're created to allow you to follow along with these tip videos while you actually do the item in DocuSign. You know, if you're not doing a transaction for, let's say, another month after this class, you might forget a couple things, and these tip videos will allow you to follow along. All right, so I'm opening up that first option, the steps to do a transaction in Command. And we're going to start going through a practice transaction, setting that up in Command so you can access DocuSign and your forms, the whole shebang. So I'm clicking on that first link here. I just want to show you what this is before I pull it over. I'll be referencing this during class. First of all, if your DocuSign is not linked up to Command, here's a how-to video at the top on how to link that. But again, if you would like us to do that for you, feel free to email us, support@scottleroymarketing.com. Okay, so these steps right here, so this is steps 1 through 10 on how to start a transaction in Command with DocuSign. So we'll be going through these steps during class. I'm going to pull this on my other screen and reference this going forward. All right, this will be a great thing for you guys to keep. No, this is not the same class as yesterday. Yesterday was the DocuSign 201 class because it was the last day of the month. So yesterday was the advanced class, and this is the design for DocuSign Basics. So if you're new to DocuSign, we will be going over basics on how to fill out interactive forms. So I'll be doing different things than I did in class yesterday, but this is the basic version. All right. So now let's go ahead. And just for any of you interested, typically we do teach DocuSign 201 at the end of the month. So feel free to check out our live training schedule, and we do provide the DocuSign 201 classes near the end of the month, and I also have that recorded on our training channel if you want to check that out after. All right, so we are going to go ahead and start a transaction in Command, and I'm following those notes that I sent out to you guys. So if I go ahead, and actually where we're going to start our transaction is in the contact section of Command. So on the left-hand side menu, okay, just a quick tip on this left-hand side menu. If you click on the KW logo on the top left, it'll pan out this menu. So you can get a hang of what the navigation is in Command. You know, you can get a hang of what these icons mean here. Also, you know, as you're learning Command, KW has done a great job of centralizing all the tools in Command to this one toolbar, which is really helpful for learning the system. You know, this weekend, if you have some downtime, you know, prop your feet up, grab some beer, some wine, whatever, and have a good time and actually just try to click through here, right? Try not to stress, try to explore it, see what you have the opportunity to learn more on. I say that, but I know myself personally, every time I go to learn a new technology, my blood pressure rises instantly. So just try to have fun with it, clicking through this menu on the left-hand side to purely see what you have the opportunity to do with Command. And then we have 10-minute tip videos to help, you know, provide you with the instructions to move forward with that section. So that's just my little tip for learning Command. Really just click around. You cannot break anything. So clicking down the left-hand side menu is a great way to learn Command. All right, so now let's go ahead and start a transaction. So to do so, I'll be starting in the contact section of Command. So that's the second icon down. Looks like a little contact. And we're going to go ahead and add a contact to our database so we can practice for today's class. So to do that, I'll click Add Contact on the top right. So we're adding a contact in. And you can go ahead and put in any name that you would like to. Okay, if you want to put in test contact, you know, practice contact. Is really important for yourself to have a test contact in there as you, so that you can see what it looks like, you know, when you send something out of command before you send it out to your entire database, right? So in this case, I want to see what it looks like when I send something from DocuSign to myself before sending that to my client. So I can go ahead and name this whatever I would like to. Let's do Janice from Friends last name. I don't even know. Janice Bing. We'll go with Janice Bing just in case her and Chandler would have gotten married. All right, so any name you want. And then for an email address, that's where I would recommend putting an actual email address that you have outside of the system. So you can see what it looks like when someone emails you, or when you email someone from command, rather. So again, any name for your test contact, but let's put in a primary email as a personal email that you have outside of the KW system. Now, since I usually get asked at this point how command wants you to add in the spouse, command does want the spouse to be entered in as a separate contact. So if you now need to enter in the husband, for example, you would click to create here and then go ahead and add a second contact. All right, you are able to link up the contacts. So for the spouses, I would recommend putting both in command first. So then when you go to put in the second contact, that's when you go to add relationship. The reason being is it works best if the contact is already in your account. See that, Chandler? Yep. It will allow you to add a contact right from here if that contact is not in your database yet. However, it'll just add a blank contact to your database with just their name. So I would really recommend, again, setting them up separately. And on the second spouse you set up, that's when you can link them. Just kind of an extra tip for you. And then let's click create on the bottom. All right. So on those notes, those steps to start a transaction in command, we have now done step 1 and 2. We logged into command, and step 2 is we added our client to our database. All right, so now the third step is we need to search for our client. So anytime that you put a new client in your database, it will always come back up to the A's. So we just need to use the search bar on the top left to search for our client right away. So you can go ahead and search by their name, email address, so forth, and simply click on their name to open that contact. Okay. If you are on a team, right, I just want to note something real quick. So if you're on a real estate team, please note that KW semi-recently divided your team and your personal databases. So you'll notice if you click on your name on the top right of command, if you're on a team, you should see a separate team profile if you're not already clicked on it. If I were to go to that team profile, I would actually have a separate database to work with the team. So we're about to set up an opportunity for this contact. If it is an opportunity that will be running on your team pipeline, which it generally would want to be, so your Rainmaker can help you and collaborate with that, you would need to add the contact to your team database first in order to create a team opportunity. Okay, and I'll talk about that more, and I'll also show you how you can move contacts in your personal database to the team, actually next. All right, so if everyone can go ahead and click on the contact that they added, just one last little tip here for team member agents. If it is a contact that is currently in your personal database, you can move that over to the team by opening the contact. Click the 3 dots on the top center. And that's when it'll give you the option to choose account. So you can move that over to the team account instead. Okay, so again, if you're a team member agent and you're creating an opportunity on the team pipeline, you can move personal contacts to the team by clicking on choose account here. Okay, just a heads up that will remove personal smart plans and personal custom tags, but the smart plans can be re-added from the Rainmaker's account once the contact is in the team database. All right, team member agents, if you have any questions on that or want further info, I do have on that tips guide that I sent out. The team transactions overview is on the bottom there to overview everything you need to know as a team member. All right, guys, so now that we have added our contact in, we're going to create an opportunity. So even if you're not on a team and you zoned me out for a second, come back in. This is important again. we need to go ahead and create an opportunity for our contact. And if your question is, what the heck is an opportunity? It's a good one. I wondered the same thing when I started on this. And really, it's just as corny as it sounds, or cute, you know, you decide. It's an opportunity, meaning an opportunity for a sale, an opportunity for a closing. So what's cool about Command, though, is your opportunity pipeline will actually go above and beyond just contract to close. You will be able to create opportunities for your leads. So it's a lead to close management system. And I'll show you a little bit about that as we move forward, but I do have an entire opportunities class that would be beneficial for you to watch and compare with this class. So they do complement each other to learn how to use opportunities. All right, so opportunities, let's create it. All right, I'll tell you even more about what this is. It'll start to make even more sense. So we're clicking on the opportunities option on the top right white toolbar and clicking create opportunity. Create opportunity on the top right. All right, so there are three main fields that you have to fill in order to continue. So I'm going to start with those three, but then I'm going to explain all the fields just so you guys feel comfortable with them. All right, but when you're doing this in real life, you'll be able to blow through this section about 30 seconds. Okay, so the three fields that you have to pay attention to is the opportunity type. So the second row down, we have opportunity type. This is just where we're selecting if this is a listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant opportunity. I'm going to do a listing for today's class, but you can do either one. It'll be the same concept. Second field that you, in theory, have to do something with is I would recommend changing the opportunity name if you know the address out the gate. Of course, if you're representing the buyer, you won't know the opportunity out the gate, but I can just go ahead and put in just the first part of the address, like the street address. The reason being is that your office searches for your opportunities by address, so it's very helpful to have that address in there. It's really easy to change the opportunity name once you create the opportunity, so no worries, I'll show you how to do that as well. All right, lastly, the final field we have to fill in is the commission rate. So this is talking about your side of the commission. That is not talking about the full 6%. This part is changeable. So if you don't have an agency agreement signed and you put in 3%, but you guys, they unfortunately negotiate you down to 2.5 or whatever the case may be, you can always change this at a later time, but this will be just your side. So those are the three main fields that you have to fill in. It will let me create the opportunity now. So again, those three were opportunity type, the opportunity name, and the commission rate. If you're taking notes on today's class, that would be a noteworthy moment. All right, but quickly, I do want to run you guys through the other fields so you feel comfortable because they are important too, and answer any questions you guys have on that. It shouldn't take long. So market center name here, if you are a part of more than one market center or transferring market centers, it's really important that you pay attention as to which market center you're putting the opportunity under. Okay, if you're just in one market center, you'll only see the one and you can leave that. If you are on a team, you should see your team name display right here. And with that being said, if you do see your team name, so team member agents, this is a quick field just for you. If you do see your team name right here, you will have an extra field at the very bottom that non-team member agents do not have. Right, so this assignee field, just a heads up, if you are a team member agent and you have your team selected, you'll be able to assign other agents on your team. Your Rainmaker can see all your opportunities off default. However, if you want any team member agents to view your opportunities as well to help you collaborate, you'll just need to manually add them as an assignee. All right. So moving on down. So non-team member agents, everyone, let's zoom back in. If you zoom me out for a second. Popping down to the owner, that is not talking about the property owner. So that's slightly confusing. That's talking about the opportunity owner. So that will say your name unless you're on a team, and then that would have your Rainmaker's name. What I want to say to you guys about the client fields here is that the clients will have to be entered into your command database first. So this is slightly different than .loop. So I do want to point out the items that are different than .loop in case you were using that in the past. The first step is always adding your client to your database first. You cannot create an opportunity if your client is not in your database. So that is a difference there. So if there is a client, you should see them added in here, and you can go ahead and put in the co-seller as well if that applies. You'll just want to start typing in their name, and it will pop down suggestions, so you can select from that dropdown. Do not copy and paste into the client fields. It doesn't like that. All right, guys, so we're pretty much done here. These fields on the bottom, I just want to let you know that that controls where on your pipeline the opportunity is going. I haven't shown you guys your pipeline quite yet, so let's just leave those where they are on the first opportunity phase, and we'll come back to that to explain it. So let's click create on the bottom. All right, so here I see this opportunity I have created. So quick tip on finding your opportunities in general. I recommend searching for your opportunities once you have those created from your contacts records. So if you search your command database in the contacts, you'll always be able to see all associated opportunities on the right-hand side. I find this extremely helpful for investor clients who I've done multiple transactions with, or with clients that I have, sold their home and then helped buy the next home. I would easily be able to see here, okay, this is the buyer opportunity and this one's the listing opportunity. Select that from here. There are a couple different ways you can search for your opportunities, and I'll show you that. So now let's go ahead and click on the opportunity name to open that up. This is where things really get exciting. Or I probably just need to redefine the word excitement in my life, but hey, it's all right. So let's go ahead and click on that TL link, just whatever you name the opportunity, to open up the back end. All right, so these are the opportunity details. So if I lost anyone, all you need to do is simply click on your opportunity, the name of the opportunity, and it'll take you into the opportunity details where I am. This section is really important as it will autofill all of this information into your DocuSign room to autofill onto all the forms you bring into that room. So your client information and the property information both pull from command, from the opportunity. So that's one really big reason that it's super important that you create your DocuSign room from command. And we're about to do that next. All right, so in order for all of this information to push into command, and we'll come back here, but let's go to the document section to dive right into our DocuSign room. So we are in the document section of your DocuSign room. And if you're still following along on those steps, this is step 6. Click the documents option on the top white toolbar. All right, and now we're going to click on start a transaction. So when you click start a transaction, if you only have DocuSign linked, it should go straight to that. I have both linked, so I'm going to select DocuSign. Now, the first time that you go to log in to DocuSign each day, it will prompt you to log in for security reasons. So you will need to remember your DocuSign password, unfortunately. So wherever you store your passwords, go ahead and jot down your DocuSign login and password. DocuSign username is an email address. I know I personally saved mine in the notes of my phone. I found out my iPhone is face protected. What's it called? Face. You know what your iPhone does, where it scans your face and then unlocks it. Yes, your notes have that ability too, which I thought was very cool. So you can save your password, as you will need that daily. And you'll see that once you log into DocuSign, it has started your DocuSign room with the same name as your opportunity. Now, if your next question is, what is a room? Also a good one. So a DocuSign room is going to be the same thing as a loop was in .loop. So essentially it's just your online file for that specific property. So you'll have a DocuSign room per property that you sell. So for example, if you're representing a client who is selling their home with you and then buying the next home, that's going to be 2 separate rooms, 2 separate opportunities because it's 2 separate properties, right? So you'll always have a separate opportunity / room per property that you sell or per transaction. All right, so now that we're in our DocuSign room here, we're going to start by talking about how you access your forms. So Robin, if it's asking you to confirm every time you log into DocuSign, you do have 2-step verification set up. By default, a lot of the DocuSign accounts have 2-step and the device verification turned off. So I'm going to send this in the chat. It's just the link to turn off if you want to disable the 2-step or the device verification. I put a link right to the page that would allow you to disable that so you don't have to send an email code. I know that's annoying. All right, and just a heads up, if you're watching this class recorded, I'm going to put all these links in the description of this YouTube video. Yeah, no problem. All right, so we're in the document section. And in this next few steps, you're going to have to bear with me because it's slightly different for literally every state. So it's been fun to learn. All right, but I'm going to walk you through how you can access your forms, but I'm going to have to show you a couple different places to look. So if you could start with me on the document section of your DocuSign room, we are clicking Add on the top right. So please note that your forms are found in DocuSign. Your blank forms are not found in your command opportunity. Okay, so your forms are in DocuSign, not command. Your blank forms, that is, I should say. All right, so I'll go ahead and click Add on the top right. And it gives us a plethora of different ways that we can add our forms in from your computer. If you have a PDF, your DocuSign forms, that's what we'll be starting with here. And that will give you access to interactive forms. Oh, sorry. So that second option down, that will give you access to interactive forms, the forms you can just start typing in. If you utilize zip forms and you have that link to command, California agents, from what I've seen, are required to use zip forms to access your forms and edit your forms. So just a heads up on that. From what I've seen, you can check in with your office staff, but for California agents, zip forms will need to be linked up and you'll need to access and edit your forms in zip forms, and you can send those out in DocuSign. And I'll show you how to link up zip forms in a second. And you have some of these options as well. So I'm going to click on the second option down, that DocuSign forms, as again, this is how you access your interactive forms. And when I say interactive forms, I mean fillable forms, forms that already have text boxes on them so that you can start typing. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to see if your forms are already loaded in DocuSign. Some states make your life easy and already load your documents in there, like North Carolina and I want to say Colorado has it, just to name a couple. However, if this is not the screen you're seeing next, when you click on that the DocuSign forms option, instead you might be seeing a pop-up that says something like verify your NERDS ID with NAR, something like that with the Realtor Association. For right now, if you can click the small blue link on the bottom that says skip this step, I'm going to show you how you can go into the preferences to link up your board forms if we find that's necessary. So if you're not seeing this pop up, just click skip. It's a small blue link, whatever it says, and then everyone should be viewing this pop up. So in this section here, the first dropdown provides us with 2 options. We have the library option. And if I select the library option, it will give me access to my library forms for my MLS and my board, or my association rather. However, if you use the groups option, that will change what you get in the second dropdown. So now I have group names added in the second dropdown. Now, if you are not seeing group names, there's nothing wrong with your account. Your Market Center just hasn't set that up quite yet for your board, right? So your Market Center staff is the one who is setting up these groups. These are not set up by you. So if you're not seeing groups, no worries. You can just search through the libraries, but I do like searching through the groups as it does make it a little easier to find the form I'm looking for. So I'll go ahead and select one of those groups. And if you are seeing forms here, okay, if you're not, don't worry, I'm going to show you how we can fix that in just a second. If you are seeing forms here, all we'll need to do at this point is click on the check dot to the left of any of these form names. You can do multiple at a time. And then click add on the bottom. And feel free to take your time, you know, especially if this is your first time in here and you're looking at these groups or in libraries feeling a little overwhelmed by these names. You know, it takes a little bit to get a hang of how they're organized, you know, so after class today, if you have your forms in here, come in here and just kind of search around so you feel comfortable where they are, so you're not, you know, time-sensitive transaction hunting for a form in a panic. And we can click add. So click the check dot to the left of any of the form names and click add to add that to your DocuSign room right away. All right, now if you were not able to see your forms in there, okay, let me show you how you can link up your Zip Forms account and or Nerds ID in order to access your forms right away. Unfortunately, there is not a way to group the forms like Leith, I believe you're talking about, like, can you create your own listing file to pull, you know, all the forms in there just so you can throw those all into all future transactions? And not quite yet. I'm thinking that that's the direction Keller Williams is going with DocuSign, because Dotloop had the ability to do that. If you have not already, ideas.kw.com, I'm putting this in the chat. Ideas.kw.com is where you can go to put ideas like that, right? That you want to be able to group forms yourself. And that's where KW actually goes to implement features. And I see them do it all the time. So it's worth your time to go in and actually put that idea. But again, I'm thinking that'll come soon. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I know that'll make your life way easier once that does roll out. Okay, so now we're answering the question, if my forms were not in there, what do I do? So let's go in. If your forms were in there, that's great. Feel free to click and look at your forms, or you can follow me to look at your account preferences. So let's go ahead and click on, it'll either be your headshot in a circle or your initials in a circle on the top right. And then let's go to preferences from that dropdown. So again, headshot or initials on the top right, and then preferences. Okay, if you're stuck in e-signature, Sue, try to do the same concept and see if you have the option to switch to rooms. All right, so from this section here, we are going to integrations on the left-hand side. So again, headshot or initials on the top right, preferences from that dropdown, and then integrations on the left-hand side. If you are a Zip Forms user, so California agents, I have seen that all California agents, from what I've seen, but feel free to talk to your office staff because I'm in North Carolina. But from what I've seen, all California agents are required to use Zip Forms to access their forms. So you can put your login and password here for your Zip Forms account to link that right up. Please note the biggest difficulty in linking Zip Forms for most California agents is that they tend to think that your username is the same for Zip Forms as it is for your car.org login. It's actually not. Your Zip Forms username is different than your car.org login. So if you need any trouble, or if you have any trouble finding that, shoot us an email and we can help. But let's go down and talk about the Nerds ID. So this is how honestly a vast majority of the states get your documents linked. If they're not already in there, it's probably your Nerds ID. Now there's a nice, lovely, long list, non-alphabetized list of different boards in here. We have a spreadsheet of how each state gets access to their forms. So if you have any trouble with finding your association on this list, all right, and linking up your Nerds ID, feel free to contact us. Okay, we'll check our notes. We don't have every single state, but we're getting there. So chances are we can help point you in the right direction, do it for you, or contact your office staff to see the best way to get access to your forms and DocuSign. So we're definitely happy to help out. It depends on where you are, but I have not seen, if you don't have a NERDS ID, typically you won't have access to the forms in your library. However, you can add PDFs of the forms as templates on the e-signature side. So John, if that sounds like something you'd like to do, I can shoot you that video. However, it won't be in the library. Yeah, no problem. And John, feel free to shoot me an email after class, support@scottlowrymarketing.com -Leah. You can put in the subject line and I can help you guys. Yeah, for California agents, I don't believe that there are, I don't want to lie to you guys, but I don't believe there are California associations in here. Maybe there are, but from what I've seen, a vast majority need to link up California agents through zip forms up top here. All right, shoot us an email if you have any questions, guys. I'm happy to look at your account after class. You know, shoot me your login and I'm happy to take care of that for you, as much as I can at least. All right, guys, so just jot down where this is. It's also helpful to chat with other agents in your office or your office staff to see how, you know, they're accessing their forms. Since it is so different in each area that you're in each board, it tends to vary. Just to make our life interesting, check in with your other agents, off staff. They tend to know the best practices to get that linked up. But we're happy, of course, to help, and we do have lots of info on this too. All right, guys, so now that we at least note the section to add in our forms, right, with our NERDS ID and zip forms, let's go back to our DocuSign room so we can work on editing the form and send that out for signatures. Even if you do not have access to forms, you can still watch on my screen and this will still really help you out. All right, so if you go ahead now on the very top toolbar here, we have two options to go back to our room. We have either the dashboard. You can click on the dashboard and that will take you back to your 5 most recent rooms. All right, so those are your 5 most recent rooms and any history. Just a heads up, you can access all rooms on the very top white toolbar as well to search through your rooms there. But I clicked on the dashboard and I'm just going to go ahead and click on the first option to get back to my room. Just a heads up, I'm putting in the Zoom chat as well. My email address is support@scottlowrymarketing.com. And then you can put attention Leah in the subject and that will come straight to me. Lucky me, I get to deal with all the DocuSign and opportunities issues. So feel free to email me, I'm happy to help. But just to tell you again how we got to your DocuSign room, I am going back to the dashboard on the very top white toolbar. And then let's click on the first room. So it should show you your 5 most recent used rooms. So you can just simply click on the first one to get back to your last accessed room. Okay. So this is a details section of the DocuSign room that it takes us to first. And you'll notice info already in here that pulls over from command. So that's pretty cool. So the client's information will pull on over automatically from command, and also the property information if we have that entered into command. And I'm going to show you what that looks like to pull the property info over in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and click on the Documents tab of our room to go ahead and access our form. So again, we added these forms on the top right by clicking add and then that DocuSign form. Okay. And that pulls that in, so I can simply click on it to open it. So simply click on the form in your DocuSign room to open that. If you don't have access to forms in your account, this will still be very beneficial for you to watch. I think the next few steps you can get the hang of even without doing it. All right, so a lot of this info will autofill onto the form when you open it. So items that autofill onto the form are all of your client's information that pulls from your command database. Any property information that you have in the opportunity details will autofill over. And I'll talk more on that in a minute. And also your contact information as the agent will be loaded on the form, and that actually pulls from the white pages. So things to know on this at this point is it's very easy to fill in these forms. You can simply click to start typing. So anytime I say it's an interactive form, this is what I mean. You can click to start typing. You can click any of the radio dots here, any check boxes, so forth. All right. So in theory, we would want to go through and fill out the entire form first. All right. Please note, again, I want to point out, if you were a dot loop user in the past, please don't be alarmed by the fact that the initial boxes and signature fields do not show at this point. They don't in DocuSign until after you add the recipients on the envelope. Just a note, those signature initial fields will not show when you're starting to edit the form. Okay, I want to point out that there are a bunch of document actions on the very top right. If you click on the icon that looks like a piece of paper with a folded corner, you will see a bunch of options here. So, you know, if it is more the style of your business that you want to bring this listing agreement with you on your appointment, you absolutely can. You can type up the entire form first, because, right, maybe it looks more professional when it's typed out. And then you'll want to save it. Please note that. So before downloading it or printing it or doing really anything on this list, always save it first if you made any changes, or it'll erase your changes. Okay, I made the mistake, don't do it yourself. So anytime that you fill this out, click save first, then open the form back up. And here you can go ahead and print it right from here. So you could bring the form with you, you know, pretty much filled in, and just have your clients hand fill it out, you know, especially if your clients don't trust e-signatures, they might prefer to do it that way or so forth. So just to let you know, if you prefer to bring paper documents on your appointment, you can absolutely do that with DocuSign. You just need to do the steps that I just did to pull in the form, and then I can go ahead and print that out and bring it on my appointment, and I'll show you at the end of class then what you can do once you have the finalized copy in your hand. Okay. So I'm going to click Save and Close on the top yellow button here, so I can show you the next steps to sending this out for electronic signatures, because of course that's what DocuSign is designed to do. And then let's go ahead. Now this is going to be a little weird if you used .loop before. Let's go into the envelopes tab. So that's a completely new phrase if you're a .loop user. .loop did not have envelopes. But let me make sense of this to you like it's snail mail, okay? So the Documents tab is where we'll go to access our documents and type in them to fill it out, right, to edit the form. Then when we're ready to send out the form, we'll come into the Envelopes section, okay? Now we're channeling snail mail here in this example. So in the Envelopes tab, I'm clicking the New option on the top right. If anyone missed that, I went to the Envelopes tab of my room and clicked New on the top right. And that will create a new envelope. Okay, so channeling snail mail here, yet again. What do you do the first thing when you pull an envelope out? What would be the first step? You would stuff the forms in the envelope, whatever you want to send, right? So that's the first step. We'll go ahead and select the Room Docs option. And that will pull up any forms that you currently have in your DocuSign room. And click Add Selected. If you are sending out more than one form, you do have the option to move those around, so you can control the sending order if you would like to. And then the second thing you would do, right, after stuffing the forms in the physical envelope is we would add recipients to the envelope. Makes sense? So here we go. So we're adding the recipients. So when you click on Add Recipients, you'll always want to select the very first option. So the pre-tagged roles. So that first option, pre-tagged roles, will search the clients from the details of your DocuSign room. So if I click on that first option, I can click on Seller 1. So Seller 1 and Seller 2 is who I want to bring in here, and probably the listing agent. So it depends on the form you're playing with, but since it's a listing agreement, I'll actually need to sign that as the agent. So I'm going to go ahead and choose from this drop down, line that up with Seller 1 and Seller 2. Again, that is pulling my client's information from the details of my DocuSign room, which pulled it from my command database, right? So in theory, these all pull from your contacts will pull from your command database. And then listing agent, I'll go ahead and put myself and click add selected. Now you can write a nice little note on the bottom that is not required, but you can note, if you talk to them on the phone, you can let them know, hey, this is the form we spoke about. Please pay extra attention to, section 7A, whatever the case may be. But that is not required to add a message. And then we can click next. If it's not pulling from your command database or autofilling, I would guess that you didn't create the DocuSign room from your opportunity directly. Feel free to shoot me an email if that's not the case, but then shoot me an email and I can look at that for you. I'd be happy to. All right, guys. So now that the form is in the envelope, if I start to scroll down, this is when I'll see those initial boxes and signature boxes automatically display. Now you'll notice that the initial boxes are all different colors, and that all corresponds to actually the different clients. So this is another thing that's different than .loop, is your clients will have a different color coordinating to their fields. So that makes it very easy to be able to skim the form to make sure everyone who needs to sign can sign. So I can view that right here. Again, I can view which client is which color on the top left. I can skim through. It will automatically add signature and initial fields to any interactive forms in DocuSign. Okay, and remember, when I say interactive forms, that means I was able to open the form and just start typing in it. And because of that, because it was an interactive form that I was able to start typing in, I already did all the editing, right? So I really don't have to do anything on this page. Okay. Honestly, the only thing I usually do on this page when I'm working with an interactive form is I just click on the recipient preview on the top right before sending it out to make sure I set it up correctly. So if you click on recipient preview on the top right here, that will show you, if you click on the viewing as option on the top left, that will show you what it looks like for that client. I personally like to do this so I can sleep at night knowing I set it up correctly and it's not me that the reason they can't sign a form. All right, so I'm viewing it as my client. If I click start, it'll actually take me through the form as if I were the client, so I can make sure that every field they need to sign does allow me to sign it as that client. So I'd recommend doing that for both your clients. And once you're done, you can X out of it. All right, so last thing on here, I did mention that it's an interactive form. So we already did all the editing, right? We already filled in the entire form when we started working with this form. However, you do have the option to add additional fields on the left-hand side here. So if you do need to add additional fields, you do have the option. Please just note that the color of these fields does matter. So if it's, your other client that you're adding fields for, you'll notice it changes all these colors. Right? And if you are adding a PDF to your DocuSign account, that's when you'll mainly need those items. Okay, because you can add PDFs to DocuSign to add fields and send that for electronic signatures. So if you are trying to work with a PDF, I just want to pull over my notes and I'll send this out again at the end of class. But if you're working on adding a PDF, we're not going to go over that in today's class. But that is this option right here. If you want to watch that, I just actually made an updated one yesterday for that. So that's a brand new video. All right, so again, we don't have to do really anything on this page. We can just go ahead and click send. So I'll go ahead and do that. And again, that's if it's an interactive form, a form I was just able to start typing in. At this point, we check over things and send it off. All right, so when you do that, when you send that off, okay, if it's a form that you need to sign, let's talk about that real quick. So if it's a form that you need to sign, it will send you an email letting you know that you need to sign it as the agent, but also you can sign it straight from the envelope here. So it does give you the option, needs my signature, so you can click there and click sign, and it would allow you to sign the form right away. Just some other useful things in here. You do have the option to resend the document if your client says they did not receive it, or if one party does not sign that, you can resend it, and it will only resend to the party that has not yet signed. Okay. Which that pulls me into a really important concept, is how signed forms look in DocuSign. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys that. You can just watch on my screen for this next part. I'm going to show you because I have a practice room that has some signed forms, so I can show you guys. So you can stay where you are on your screen. I'll come back to where you are. I'm just going to switch over to a different room so I can show you signed forms and how they work in DocuSign, because it is different than .loop. Just if I can spell. All right, 9th time's charm. Okay, so when you send a form off for signatures, so right here, so I want to talk about these little icons here on the form. So really important. So that little icon right here, the blue icon that says form, that is the same icon as we see if you click add on the top right for the DocuSign forms. So you see that little blue icon, same icon as this one. So that is denoting that the form is an interactive form, one that you can just click on to start typing in. Okay, so that's what the blue icon means. Those are your interactive forms that will autofill. You can start typing in them. It will automatically display the initial and signature fields as well. Okay, when you send that form off, so once you edit it, put it in an envelope like we did, add the recipients and send that off, once your client sign that, it will actually come back to your DocuSign room as a totally separate version of the form. So here it is. This is the signed copy. I can see it has this green icon showing that it's signed. And if I were to open this up, which actually this one's not signed, it's a PDF. So when your forms come back signed in DocuSign, right, I sent that off as an interactive form. Like when I first started working on it, I could click to start typing in it. But when the client sign it and it comes back to my room, it'll come back as a PDF, meaning I cannot start typing in it. The reason it does that is to preserve the signatures. Now, no matter what, this cannot get erased. If you had used .loop in the past, you might have seen that scary message when you had a fully executed form, and if you accidentally tried to start typing, it would say, hey, if you make any changes, it'll erase all the signatures and give you a half of a heart attack. So DocuSign does not have that feature or problem. If the form comes back signed, you will always have that signed copy in your room. Now, one more thing on this. So if you have, let's say, 2 clients signing the form, right, you'll receive a notification, an email notification that your client has signed the form. If you try to go look in your room for that signed form, you won't see it until all parties have signed. So if there are 2 clients, both clients have to sign in order for the signed copy to come back to your room. So even though you get a notification that one of them signed, just don't be confused by the fact that it's not showing up in your DocuSign room quite yet. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. I do have a tip on the notes as well on how to work with edit signed documents in DocuSign. So that kind of touches on what I just talked about, and then explains how, if you need to make edits to a signed document, how you can do that and send that off for signature. All right, guys, so the last part of class, and I know I'm running out of time here, so thank you guys for sticking on a little late. But I'm just going to show you guys how you can submit your signed forms for compliance review to submit to your office so you can get paid. All right, so that'll be the last thing we do. This should be I should be able to finish up within 5 minutes here. 8 max. Okay, by 2:10, you guys will be free. Okay, so if you are still where I left you, you're probably in the envelope section. We're actually going to switch over to command. So your tabs, you should have both open, an envelope tab and a command documents tab. And just so you guys need it, here, I'm going to post out the tips just in case you guys are needing to leave and you want to grab it again. So in the chat, I just posted out the tips guide that I keep referencing. If you want to grab that, I do have that bookmarked as well. If you want to put that in your bookmarks menu. All right, guys, so we're switching over to Command. So you should still have two tabs open. The tabs do open separately. For DocuSign, you'll notice has an icon, a yellow down arrow. And then your Command opportunity has a little KW logo. If you lost this tab, no worries. If you can just go back and find your opportunity in Command and simply click on the opportunity name to open that up. Okay, real quick, I want to explain before we talk about the compliance thing real quick. I do want to explain autofilling further in here. So let's say now I got that listing agreement signed, so I know the property address, and I now want that to autofill on all future forms that I bring into my DocuSign room. Right? That address would need to be entered into this property box. So where I am, just in case I lost anyone, go to the contact section, right, of Command to search for the contact that you created for today's class. Click on that contact, and you'll see the opportunities on the right-hand side. Just select that option. If you guys have trouble, just let me know. All right, but in order for the property details to autofill into DocuSign, this box has to be filled in. So the reason that is great, though, if you're doing a listing, you'll have this option. Just so you know, a buyer opportunity will not have this option. However, if you are representing a listing, this is hugely helpful. You can click select listing on the very top of your opportunity, and it will search the KWLS 2.0. So once you click select from listings, it will pull up only your listings first, which can be helpful if they're showing. KW is working on grouping all agents' listings together to display right here, but if yours are not displaying here, don't worry, they're probably in Command. It's just KW is working on that feature to make your life easier. In the meantime, though, let's change the drop down on the far right from only my listings to all listings, which will allow you to search your listing by street address or MLS number. And then simply click select. And you can just pick a random one if you want. No one will know. And right when I click select, it auto-filled this information right here, this property information, so I don't have to type that in. So now in order to get that all to sync, so any updates you make, let's say your client changed their email address, or you added in the property right here, or you edited any of these details, right? And you can edit any of this with this pencil icon, by the way, to edit any of your opportunity details, this pencil icon. So moral of the story, if you made any edits and now you want the edits to autofill into DocuSign, you can sync that back over on the Documents tab. You'll now have a Sync Transaction button that will sync any changes that you made over to the DocuSign room so that it will autofill the new updated info. So that's helpful for you guys to know. All right, last but not least, so in this document section, let's talk about the final step is that you need to submit your executed documents to your office for compliance review. Your office staff is wonderful, and they go through every single form to make sure they're signed properly, set up correctly, so you stay out of real estate jail and you get your commission check. So how you go about submitting your paperwork to your office is through the Opportunity Documents section. So I want to explain the difference real quick. This is really important if you can stay on for 5 more minutes. The difference between the document section of your opportunity, right? And there's a document section of your room too, right? I found that very confusing when I first started on this. So the difference between the two, the document section of your DocuSign room is being used between the agent and your clients to access your forms, edit your forms, and send them for electronic signatures. Whereas the Documents tab of your opportunity in Command is being used between the agent and your office staff to submit your fully signed paperwork for compliance review. So again, DocuSign used for your agent and client, the Command opportunity is used between the agent and your office to submit your signed paperwork. So let me show you quickly how to go about doing that. So you will want to go to the Documents section of your opportunity, right? And that's where we clicked on the Start a Transaction right here to access DocuSign. So you go to the Document section quite a bit for your opportunity. Then on the left-hand side, whatever's bold here for you, wherever my mouse is, if it says pick checklist type, or it might already have the checklist displaying, there's only one, you can go ahead and select the checklist from that list to pull that up. Now these checklists are added by your office staff, so yours will look different than mine. So once I select a checklist, it will then give me a list of forms that I need to add in order to stay in compliance. So these are not the forms themselves. These are placeholders. They're just kind of like a checklist to keep you on track. So you'll notice on the left-hand side, right, we have a listing folder under contract and closed. And you'll notice if you start going down the form, you'll see which fields are required, which forms are required to add in for compliance right here. So we can add in forms a couple different ways. First of all, you can add them one at a time on the right-hand side, which works great if you're just adding in one form. However, if you're attaching multiple, like if you need to attach your entire file for compliance review, we'll want to click the Attach Multiple Files option on the very top. Now, if you model your business where you get your paperwork hand-signed, okay, for whatever reason, again, you absolutely can. You can have them hand-signed, come back to the office, scan them to your computer, and save them to your computer, okay? Once you've saved those hand-signed forms to your computer, you can then come into your opportunity to either drag and drop or to click here to browse your computer to pull that form in right away. Okay. So you technically don't have to use DocuSign to obtain your signatures. You can absolutely get those hand-signed, okay, and you can manually upload them in. However, it's way easier if you do use DocuSign. Okay, so the DocuSign option at the top will only display if I start my DocuSign room from command. So again, really important that you always start your DocuSign room by clicking on Start a Transaction like we did today. Okay. After that, moving forward, you can go to realestate.docusign.com directly to access your DocuSign room. But the first time that you go to create that opportunity, it is essential that you start it from command. Right? Add the contact in, create the opportunity, and click Start a Transaction. If you do it that way, it'll give you the option to pull your signed forms easily from DocuSign from these drop-down menus. So I can see each copy of, or each form that I need, and if I click on the drop-down, it'll show me my forms from that DocuSign room specifically. So I can simply click on the forms from the drop-down to pull those over. And there we go. I have that added in. And once I'm ready, I can click Submit to MC. And don't do this right now, they won't like it. But you can click Submit to MC on the top right to submit your paperwork to your office staff for review. Now, the last final question I'll answer is, right, a good follow-up question to that is, all right, well, when am I supposed to submit my paperwork for review? And that's a great question. It's also a question that your office staff will primarily set. So compliance policies are slightly different for each office. So if your staff says something different than me, always listen to your office staff first. But I just want to give you guys a general idea of when you would submit to your market center for review to make sense of this for you. So when you want to submit your form, your paperwork to your office, if this is a buyer you're representing, you will submit your paperwork twice. Once when you go under contract with all of your executed contract paperwork, okay, and a second time when you close with all of your closing paperwork. If you are representing the listing, you would typically submit your paperwork 3 times to your office for review. Once when the listing goes live on the MLS, a second time when you go under contract, and a third time when you close, of course, with all the respective paperwork. Just the last thing to note is there is a offers and commissions tab that you might have noticed on the top as well. That is something that you'll need to do when you go under contract. So if you've ever used a green sheet before in MyKW, same exact concept here. The commission request is just the new green sheet in command. So this is going to be used to tell your office how you're getting paid. How are they distributing your commission check? Are you receiving all of it? Are you splitting it with a team member, giving a 25% outside referral? Whatever the case may be, you would tell them from here. And how you do that is on the notes I sent out. Just heads up, create a commission request. Here it is. So that's the answer. So really, anything that to expand your knowledge skim these tips right here. I did send this out a couple times. If you need it again, let me know. These tip videos would be really great for you guys to watch to really come full circle on all your DocuSign knowledge. And the opportunities class would be really great for you to watch as well. I'll include that on this list after class and you'll receive an updated version. All right, guys, and if you want to watch this class again recorded, this will be up later today. I would say in about 2 hours. It usually takes a little bit to load. Just heads up, all of our training is on slmtraining.com, right? But also, I like to have our YouTube channel on hand. That's just youtube.com/Scott Lowery Marketing. I'll send this out. But that has all of our most recent training. So like these are literally, I taught this yesterday, you know, these are all from this week. So I like to also have this bookmarked so I can see, you know, our top tips that are brand new of the week so I can learn those myself. Again, that's youtube.com/Scott Lowery Marketing. Putting that in the chat. All right, guys, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I know this was a lot, first of all. Oh, not the .com. Hold on. Well, I'm resending the YouTube link without the .com. That was incorrect. I know this was a lot, 100%. However, I promise this gets way easier the more you go through this. Let me know if you have questions. If I did not get to your question in the chat, so sorry, I'm trying to multitask here, but I'm happy to, and I'm happy to look at your account specifically. So please shoot me an email, copy and paste your question to me, support@scottlowerymarketing.com, put dash my name, which is Leah, Leah. Happy to help you guys out as you go through this. Yeah, I know it's a lot. If you run into any road bumps, chances are I ran into them too and have a cool workaround for you. So let me know how I can help. You know where to find me, support@scottlowerymarketing.com. Thank you guys for coming to class. You guys were great.